The contractions hit Megan Harper like a freight train as she clutched her swollen belly, her knuckles whitening against the hospital bed railings. At 36 weeks pregnant and alone, this wasn't how she had imagined bringing her child into the world. Rain lashed against the windows of Boston Memorial Hospital, mirroring the storm of emotions within her. Just 8 months ago, her life had been perfect. Engaged to Jack Donovan, a promising investment banker, with their first child on the way. Then came the morning she discovered the note on their kitchen counter. "I can't do this, I'm sorry." No explanation, no forwarding address. Just 3 years of her life, erased in 7 words. "Breathe through it, Megan," encouraged the nurse, a kind-faced woman named Rita, who had been checking on her every 15 minutes since she arrived at the maternity ward. "The doctor will be in shortly." Megan nodded, her chestnut hair plastered to her forehead with sweat. She had practiced this moment in birthing classes, but always with Jack by her side, not alone in a hospital room with only her sister's voicemail for company. Penny was stuck in Chicago due to the same storm system currently battering the East Coast, frantically trying to find a flight that would get her to Boston in time. "Your blood pressure is a bit high," Rita noted with a frown. "I'm going to page the on-call obstetrician, Dr. Reynolds was supposed to be here, but there's been an emergency with another patient." Megan barely registered the nurse's words as another contraction gripped her, stronger than the last. Through gritted teeth, she managed to ask, Who's coming instead?" "Dr. Reed," Rita replied, pressing buttons on the pager. "He's one of our best. Just returned from setting up a maternal health clinic in Tanzania. You're in good hands." The name hit Megan harder than any contraction. Reed. It couldn't be. Boston was a big city with many doctors. Surely life couldn't be this cruel, this coincidental. 4 years had passed since medical school, since she'd walked away from the love of her life to pursue her dreams of becoming a concert pianist in New York. 4 years since she'd looked into those piercing blue eyes and told Ethan Reed that their paths were taking them in different directions. Before she could process this possibility, the door swung open. Time seemed to slow as a tall figure in navy blue scrubs entered, chart in hand, eyes focused on the medical information rather than the patient. "Ms. Harper, I'm Dr. Reed. I understand you're—" The words died on his lips as he looked up, recognition dawning immediately. Those same blue eyes that had once looked at her with such love now widened in shock. "Ethan," Megan whispered, suddenly aware of how she must look. Hair disheveled, face contorted in pain, hugely pregnant, and unmistakably alone. For a moment, neither spoke. The beeping monitors and the storm outside faded into the background as their shared history filled the room like a physical presence. Ethan recovered first, his expression shifting to professional detachment with a speed that told Megan he'd had practice hiding his emotions. "Megan, I didn't realize you were back in Boston." "I moved back 6 months ago," she managed, before another contraction seized her. This one stronger, longer, stealing her breath and her dignity as she cried out. Instantly, Ethan was by her side, doctor mode fully engaged. "Deep breaths. That's it. Let's check how you're progressing." His voice was steady, his hands sure as he examined her with clinical efficiency. The gold Rolex on his wrist caught the light as he worked, a far cry from the medical student who had once worn a plastic watch that turned his skin green. "You're at 7 centimeters, he informed her, pulling off his gloves, moving faster than expected for a first delivery. "How far apart are the contractions?" "About 3 minutes, Rita supplied when Megan couldn't answer. Ethan nodded, making notes in the chart. "The baby's heart rate is strong, but your blood pressure concerns me. I'd like to monitor you closely." He hesitated, then asked the question Megan had been dreading. "Is the father on his way?" Megan closed her eyes, humiliation washing over her. "He's not in the picture." Something flickered across Ethan's face, surprise, perhaps judgment, or maybe pity, before his professional mask returned. "I see. Is there someone we should call?" "My sister Penny is trying to get here from Chicago, but with the storm—" Megan trailed off as another contraction began building. When it passed, she found Ethan studying her with an intensity that made her squirm. "I'll be your doctor today, Megan," he said finally. "Unless you prefer I find someone else." The thought of explaining their history to another doctor while in the throes of labor was exhausting. Besides, despite everything, she knew Ethan was brilliant. His hands had always been steady, his mind sharp. "No, it's fine. You're here. That's what matters." A ghost of a smile touched his lips. "All right then. I'll be back to check on you in 30 minutes unless something changes." He turned to leave, then paused at the door. "For what it's worth, I'm sorry about your situation." After he left, Rita busied herself adjusting Megan's IV. "You two know each other?" "We were together in medical school," Megan replied, not wanting to elaborate on how she'd chosen a career in music over the life they'd planned together. How she'd broken not just his heart, but her own in the process. "Wait," Rita's eyes widened. "You were with Dr. Reed, the Dr. Reed. Girl, do you know what he's done since medical school? He's practically a celebrity in the medical world. Started that foundation that builds maternal clinics in developing countries. There was even that profile in Time magazine last year." Megan's chest tightened. She'd seen that magazine in a dentist's office, had stared at Ethan's face on the cover, older but even more handsome, the headline proclaiming him, "The Billionaire Doctor Saving Mothers Worldwide." She'd been both proud and devastated, reading about the tech company he'd started in his second year of residency, the medical software that had revolutionized patient care and made him a fortune. He'd achieved everything they'd once dreamed about together, while she had ended up with a failed music career, a failed engagement, and now single motherhood. The next 2 hours passed in a blur of increasing pain as her labor progressed rapidly. Ethan returned as promised, his manner professional but gentle. He never mentioned their past, focusing entirely on bringing her baby safely into the world. Yet Megan caught him watching her sometimes, with an expression she couldn't decipher. "We're getting close," he announced after checking her again. "The baby's in perfect position. You're going to start pushing soon." As if on cue, Megan felt an overwhelming pressure and the unstoppable urge to push. I think it's happening now." Suddenly the room was a flurry of activity. Nurses positioned her legs, Ethan donned a surgical gown, equipment was readied. Through the haze of pain, Megan heard Ethan's calm voice. "On the next contraction, push down into your bottom. That's it. You're doing great." As she bore down with all her strength, a new fear gripped her. "Something's wrong. I can feel it," she gasped between pushes. Ethan's eyes met hers, serious but steady. "The baby's heart rate is dropping slightly with each contraction. It's not uncommon, but I need you to push as effectively as possible. We might need to help the baby out." The next contraction built like a tidal wave. As Megan pushed, the monitors began to alarm. Ethan's voice remained calm, but his movements became more urgent. "The cord might be compressed. Megan, I need one more big push. Then we may need to use vacuum assistance." Summoning every ounce of strength, Megan pushed as the contraction peaked. Through tears of effort, she saw Ethan's expression change to one of concern as he looked at the monitor. "The heart rate is still dropping," he said, reaching for an instrument tray. "We need to get this baby out now." As the room erupted into controlled chaos around her, Megan locked eyes with Ethan, terror coursing through her veins. In that moment, their shared past vanished. He wasn't her ex-boyfriend. He was the doctor who held her baby's life in his hands. "Trust me," he said quietly, just for her to hear. "I won't let anything happen to either of you." And despite everything, Megan did trust him. She had to. "One more push, Megan," Ethan commanded, his voice cutting through her exhaustion. His hands moved with practiced precision as he positioned the vacuum extractor. "The baby needs to come out now." With a primal cry that seemed to come from somewhere beyond herself, Megan summoned her remaining strength. The pain was transcendent, erasing all thought, all memory, all sense of time and place. There was only this moment, this struggle to bring her child safely into the world. "That's it. Keep going," Ethan encouraged, his focus absolute as he worked. "I can see the head. Dark hair just like yours." With one final heroic effort, Megan felt the incredible sensation of her baby leaving her body. A moment of suspended silence followed. Then the most beautiful sound she'd ever heard filled the room, the indignant wail of her newborn taking its first breath. "It's a girl," Ethan announced, his professional demeanor briefly cracking to reveal genuine emotion. A beautiful, perfect little girl. Tears streamed down Megan's face as the nurses quickly cleaned her daughter and placed the tiny, squirming bundle on her chest. Through her blurred vision, she took in the reddened face, the shock of dark hair, the impossibly small fingers curled into fists. "Hello, little one," she whispered, overwhelmed by a love so intense it felt like her heart might burst. "I'm your mum." Ethan was still working between her legs, delivering the placenta and checking for tears, but Megan barely noticed. Her entire world had narrowed to this 7-pound miracle breathing against her skin. "She's perfectly healthy," Rita said, adjusting the blanket around the baby.